Brothers and sisters, friends and family, shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the beginning of the work week. I hope you guys all had a wonderful, restful weekend. I hope you guys all had a wonderful, restful Shabbat. I hope the peace of Elohim Most High was upon you and your family. And I hope that life is going well. For those of us who are watching the world around us, it is very, very weird the last time that you and I were sitting around this little table and we were chatting. I told you that I had this feeling that the United States of America, before Shabbat or around Shabbat, was going to attack Iran. And I nailed it. I absolutely nailed it. I couldn't believe it. Because we had the supreme leader of the United States of America, the selected one, that was bold-faced lying to the entire world and saying, hey, we're going to discuss this in 2 weeks, what we're going to do. But yet another deception from the snakes with a head fake. And at the end of Shabbat, it was literally at the very end of it, I think it was about 40 minutes after our Shabbat down here had ended, that Donald Trump went and bombed Iran. Now, this was an act of war. Now, this was something that is kind of interesting because, you know, those of us who watch these kind of events unfold, those of us who are watching the mainstream news propaganda, and those of us who fight against this mainstream news propaganda, there's a lot of us at 153news.net that are putting the puzzle pieces together. And it wasn't very long after the Donald came out and said he had annihilated all of these nuclear plants. They were just irreparable, and this was the greatest military that has ever done it, and no other military could have done what they did. The pictures that come out show very little damage to these nuclear sites. There's a couple of them that don't even look like they have much but a couple of rocks that are blown off. There's no holes. There's no signs of a mountaintop being blown off or these giant warheads that are supposed to be able to penetrate all these mountain ranges and get into their nuclear places. So there's a lot of things to consider when we are looking at people like Albert Pike, who was a Freemason, one of the greatest Freemasons of all times. And he wrote this letter to Mazzini about these 3 wars that must happen. And we are at the 3rd war, where it appears that the Christians and the Arabs are going to get into it. And whether or not this is orchestrated or not, it absolutely crushes humanity in various ways. One such way is that the people of America are very much less safer right now. Those of you guys in North America and those of us who are abroad. We were getting messages all weekend long from the U.S. State Department that says, be very careful down in Panama, because you're American, there's going to be people that are going to be attacking you now. And they sent out these messages to people foreign and people local that are out there. And we kind of laughed about that. And it doesn't concern us at all. There's no concern. But it's those things that they have destabilized the world even more. And if their objective was truly trying to get rid of people that were running a peaceful nuclear processing plant, it didn't work. But what it did do is it cost taxpayers a tremendous amount of money flying all of these B-2s and having all these new age bombs that came down and supposedly did all this damage. But yet the videos and the pictures coming out show really nothing happened. So what are we to make of this? Well, we know that our Messiah says there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. And so not everything that we're looking at could be legitimate. And these are things with those with eyes to see and ears to hear that we just take note of, that we look at. But at the end of the day, regardless of it being wars or rumors of wars, it will cost everybody more money, more security, more effects, that now they're closing down straits of Hormuz in Iran. That's going to just completely tax the American people when it comes to gasoline and to refineries and various things, as 20% of all oil of the world goes through that actual strait. So it doesn't matter if it's a pretend war or if everybody's in on it or what exactly it's looking like. From one angle, it definitely looks like Israel is taking shots. They have lost all the power in the southern parts of Israel as of this morning. The Iranian missiles supposedly have made it through these iron domes and the Sling of David and all this special high-end defenses that they supposedly had. But you never know what the powers that be are looking to do. But you can guarantee that those of the New World Order, those of the satanic Luciferian Freemason cabal, whatever you want to call them, it's all planned. It's all orchestrated. None of this would go on like it has gone on if it wasn't part of the plan. And so, as people of Yah, we have been told not to fear. Our Messiah told us very clearly that even a bird has food and provisions. And aren't we, as Yah's people, even more important than these birds? Aren't we even more important than all of the beasts of the fields that are out there? When our Creator created us, He looked us into the soul. He looked into our eyes before He ever threw our souls into the womb. He knows who we are. He created us in a beautiful fashion. He gave us life. He gave us the ability to read and to understand and to listen. He gave us the ability to speak, to formulate words. He gave us the organ of the tongue, that we can use our lungs and blow out air as our little member, the tongue, moves back and forth, and you guys can pick up what I'm putting down. He has given us the Torah of liberty. He has given us a doctrine of greatness, a knowledge base of incredibleness. So as we are watching the world be destroyed all around us, day in and day out, month after month, the powers that be orchestrating these events and people being manipulated and the news being manipulated and everything around us being a lie, the one thing that we can count on for truth, always truth, is the first 5 books of scriptures: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And in those first 5 books, we have a time in our world when our Creator walked among men and women unlike any other time before. We had Him with us between the cherubim of an ark, talking to a amazing guy named Moshe. We had Him representing Himself as a pillar of clouds during the day, a pillar of fire at night. He told us the way that He wishes us to walk and the ways He wishes us to operate. He gave us good instructions. And these good instructions are what you have 100% of the religious systems, and they reject it. Not only do they reject it, but they laugh at it, and they scoff at it. And they have developed a man named Shaul, who has come and freed everybody from the laws of our Creator. They have said that our Messiah came with a rebel flag and a doctrine all of his own. They say that we no longer need to keep the seventh-day Shabbat because our Messiah changed it when he died. It was changed to a Sunday, a Sol Victus, a satanic day that pagans and Gentiles worship their sun god. They say that he didn't keep the commandments of our Creator. They say he came and fought against those keeping the Torah. But in ignorance, they don't realize that the people he was fighting against weren't keeping just the Torah. They were keeping a religious system they called Judaism. They were keeping a religious system that has tremendous amount of doctrine that doesn't exist in any of the Bibles that we know of. They keep this thing that came with them out of mystery Babylon, that came out of the Babylon system, came out of captivity back in the days. Things called the Talmud, the Zohar, the Kabbalah. And all of these things, for those who have studied, are satanic. They are doctrines of devils, doctrines of demons. And any time that somebody will look you in the eyes and tell you that the laws of our Creator are no more, they've been programmed. They are repeating doctrines of devils. You see, you would not want to ever walk these lands without the lens of the Torah. When you understand that our Creator has a set way and a set time and a set occupation and a set instruction book for all of us, and he says, if you keep these, I will be your Elohim. I will be your master, and you will be my children. What better path can we ever go than to try to be a child of Yahuwah? Those who know him, instead of Yahuwah, people know him as God. That's why in all of these destroyed scriptures that you get, the King James being the top of the line, they've replaced the name of our Creator over 7,000 times. They've replaced the name of our Messiah with a name that isn't even a Hebrew name. In fact, they renamed him with a pronunciation of a letter that isn't even in Hebrew. Why has this been changed? Why has deception crawled across these plains as much as they have? Well, we know the devil's wild. We know he's roaming about as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. We know that he controls these lands and has enormous power. Enough power that he can take our Messiah up to the top of the echelon and tell him that if he will bow down to him, that he will give him all the kingdoms. So we know from scriptures that Hasatan owns these lands. And for those who are out of covenant with our Creator, the devil will bless you. He will prosper you. Money will not be a problem. You won't have the same issues as everybody else does. But you know what? We want these issues. We want to be at the odds with the evil powers that be. We want to fight against the unrighteous. We want to be held as those who are Kodesh, those who are holy. That's who we and our people should be. When our Messiah says that you can find his family by those who are keeping the laws of his Father, he wasn't kidding. So for anybody that is keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Creator of the universe, shalom to my family. Shalom to all of you out there. I got nothing but mad love for you guys. And yes, we all have issues with our calendars. We all have certain issues with certain doctrine that we have. But for those who are Torah observant, those who live their lives breathing, eating, living the most beautiful things that we have ever been given, which is the Torah. Shalom to all of you guys. Now, we are reading an incredible book, and we're reading the book of 2nd Ezra, and we're getting towards the very end, and it has been one of the very greatest reads that I have ever read, along with all of you guys out there. And I know a lot of you guys have just fallen in love with this book. And this book has been hidden from people for all times. They had these books in our regular canon back in the days, but all the Catholicism and Protestants and all these people that thought they had enough power to remove books in scriptures thought it was a great idea because it doesn't match up with their doctrine. It doesn't match up with what they believe is the proper way to have doctrine. But we know that we should have all doctrine and we should have a fundamental understanding of it all. And this is why when you have the Torah, when you know the Torah and it's written on your heart, mind, and soul and on your doorposts of your house and your gates, and then you press them onto your children, that we can't be deceived, that our Creator is there for his people. Now, we are part of Yah Scriptures. Yah Scriptures is the greatest English translation that has ever been put forth. You will never find a better, more restored English version of Scriptures ever out there. And what you're looking at in front of you is you guys are looking at a limited edition print of Yah Scriptures. It is the big blue book. 7 pounds is what this Scriptures weighs. It is 14.5 font. It means it's large print. It means those with vision problems, those who can't see real well, those who want to read the Scriptures for ongoing time, and those who love the Scriptures of our Creator have a home. And this is a book is still available. I don't know how long it will be available, but I do know it is available right now. It is limited edition because we don't know, based upon everything, we don't know if we're ever going to reprint another version of this. But we've never had anybody that has gotten this big blue book and said, man, we're unhappy with this. There's been a lot of people that have gotten this book. And what happens when you guys are able to get these books is this gives us the ability to minister to our brothers and sisters in the U.S. prison population. There have been a tremendous amount of people that we have been able to affect their lives. There's also a tremendous amount of people that don't want to hear it. But you know what? We're fishing for men in the U.S. prison population. And by you guys supporting Yah Scriptures, this is a ministry that is bearing fruit. This is where you guys give us the abilities to take the seeds, the word of the Most High, and throw them out. And where they drop and where they deliver, sometimes it's on rocky ground. Sometimes it's in good, fertile dirt. Sometimes it creates a huge wave inside of the prisons where people will start these Torah-based programs. But we can't thank you guys enough. For those of you guys who can't afford this, Yah Scriptures is available free of charge. It's absolutely free of charge. Just put in yahscriptures.com into your web browser, click on download, and you can get all the eSword modules, you can get the PDFs, you can get everything. There have been tens of thousands of downloads of these scriptures. Not only that, we also have this available in the Android version. And for those of you guys who feel it upon your heart that you guys can help us with the Apple version, we're getting very close to this being done. We still need about $1,500. We still need a little bit more support to get this where it needs to go. But by your support into the iOS app for Apple, you guys will have a hand in giving away thousands and thousands of scriptures because everything that we do is free. When this goes to the Apple store and you can get it on all of your Apple devices, when you can get it on all your tablets, all your phones, all of this, then you guys have a hand at giving away scriptures, and it's a beautiful mission. It is a beautiful thing. And so regardless, even if we can't get the funding, we are going to, by hook or crook, we're going to be able to get this out and do it. But we would appreciate those of you who see the vision of us getting into this. And I think the Apple version is going to be a lot more popular than the Android. The Android's super, super popular. People love it. And we're just about to go into this because this is the reading we're going to do. But for all of you guys with Apple devices, please, if you find it up on your heart to be able to help us get these out to all of you guys out there, it would be amazing. So thank you guys very, very much. This is it's an honor to be able to even touch the word of our Creator and to be able to make it something that is, it's just a beautiful thing. So thank you guys very, very much. Now let us get into our reading of today. This is 2nd Ezra. And if you have never heard any of these, you do not need to go back. You do not need to read through these because I'm going to give you a recap right here that's going to get you caught up into this. And for everybody that has been through this series with me, man, much love to you. Shout out. I hope it has affected your guys' life as much as it has affected mine, because as we read through these, it changes you. It changes a person, changes your outlook with life and with death and with the coming of our Messiah. We don't get as much information anywhere than in this book that we are reading about life, death, and Messiah. We hear about the final wars. We hear about it. We hear so much more than we hear in the actual book of Revelation, because it becomes very, very clear. And it is because of our brother Ezra, who fasted for 21 days, then ate 14 days of plants, and now he's on a 3-day push to get the final pieces of the information. So in chapters 1 and 2 of the second book of Ezra, Yahuwah rebukes the nation of Israel for their disobedience, idolatry, and rejection of his commands. Now, if we just look at that statement alone, this is where we don't want to be at the end of, right? We don't want to be rebuked because we're disobedient, because we have idols, and because we reject the commands. What commands are we talking about, right? Those of us who come from religion understand that all these commands that people say, well, they're nailed to a cross. They're fulfilled. They don't matter anymore. We can eat whatever we want to eat. When in fact, none of that actually says any of that. And that has been lied to all of us by the mouths of those who are prospering from demonology. In the first couple chapters of this, despite his care and deliverance, the people are turning away from Yahuwah. Yahuwah declares he will reject those who despise his ways and will call other nations who will obey him. A promise of future comfort and glory is made to the obedient ones, symbolizing the gathering of a righteous remnant. Ezra has shown a vision of a great multitude and a man, interpreted as our Messiah, Yahushua, crowning those who have stood firm. So the very first couple chapters are all about obedience, 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 and loyalty. And that's what the rest of this book is about. Chapter 3 through 6, Ezra questions angelic explanations. Ezra questions why Yahuwah allows the wicked to prosper while the righteous suffer. The angel Uriel is sent to answer Ezra's deep concerns. Uriel explains the mystery of the world's structure, the timeline of history, and the limits of human understanding. The world is nearing its end, and the signs of the times are set. A detailed timeline is provided. The present age is corrupt, but the age to come will bring peace and righteousness. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Right? This is what we're looking for, an age of peace. Because we don't have that. We don't even know what that is. Uriel uses analogies like seeds, fire, and water to illustrate spiritual truths. And the sequence of creation and the order of the nations are explained. Chapter 7 says, a vision of a narrow path over a dangerous place symbolizes the difficult journey to salvation, right? Once saved, always saved is a scam. That is a doctrine of demons. Salvation is achieved by fear and trembling, obedience, loyalty, faith of our Messiah, Yahushua. It's none of this Romans road to Christ. None of this is living, saying a prayer at 8 years old and never ever having salvation snatched out of your hand. Those, again, are from people who have lied to you, people that either, if they've read the Bible, then they're complicit with the doctrines of demons, but if they haven't, then they're just repeating and regurgitating lies. Continuing on, the righteous must pass through tribulation to reach a reward. Ezra is told about the afterlife, the rest of the righteous, and the punishment of the wicked. Details are given about the final judgment, resurrection, and how people will be held accountable for their deeds. And that's one of the big things that we get out of Ezra, right? If you take your last breath, if you are wicked, if you are out of covenant with our Creator, if you have denied the Torah, if you have denied the Messiah, and you need both of these to make this kingdom, then you immediately go into a state of despair, depression, depravity, and you don't go to sleep. For those who are walking with our Messiah and walking with our Creator's Torah, it sounds completely like Ezra that there's 7 days of a great rest before we have a great sleep, before the end times. We're calm, we're collective, we know that we were in the right, that we did the right things. And again, salvation can only be achieved with fear and trembling. Yahuwah assures Ezra that he is merciful and just. Chapters 8 and 9, it's the few and the many. Ezra laments the small number who will be saved. He equates it to a drop of water inside of a wave. So when you guys understand that there are not a lot of people out there that are saved, it should be a cause for concern, and we should do whatever we need to do to adjust our lives and adjust our families' lives to make sure that we are in that group. Uriel explains that just as only a few good grapes come from many vines, only a few souls will inherit life. There's an emphasis on repentance, watching for signs, and understanding the times. The signs of the end: earthquakes, wars, famine, and chaos. Ezra is told to stop worrying about those who will perish and focus on those who will be saved. That's a big thing, right? That's a huge thing. Chapter 10 is the vision of the woman in the city. Ezra sees a mourning woman who transforms into a great city. The woman represents the desolate Jerusalem, the desolate lands of Jerusalem, and the coming restoration. The vision shows the fall of the earthly Jerusalem and the hope of a future heavenly Jerusalem. Chapters 11 and 12 are the vision of the eagle. Ezra sees an eagle with multiple heads and wings representing the kingdoms of the world, especially the United States and the old Roman Empire. The eagle's heads, wings, and smaller feathers symbolize various rulers and empires that rise and fall. A lion, symbolizing the coming of our Messiah, rebukes the eagle, declares judgment, and announces the end of its reign. The vision shows the collapse of the oppressing nations and the rise of Yahuwah's righteous kingdom. And that's what we're here for, guys. We are here for the kingdom to come. This is, the entire rapture school bus, the rapturing and where they have a guy named Jesus that comes down and has all these pork-eating, sinful people that are saved. That doesn't say anything like that in scriptures. It never ever says anything like that. In fact, according to all the scriptures, there isn't going to be much of a rapture. We are told that we need to obey the messenger Yahuwah sends before us, but that would be a second Exodus. That would be a saving of our mortal lives that we have in the event that our Messiah is down over at Mount Zion calling over his faithful people. But as far as this magical rapture school bus that the Christians have everybody deceived about, that doesn't exist in scriptures. It doesn't exist. Then the angel explains that this is the end of the age and the beginning of Yahuwah's eternal reign. Now, chapter 13 is the man from the sea. Ezra sees a vision of a man interpreted as Mashiach, rising from the sea, leading a fiery attack against multitudes of nations who wage war against him. The man does not use physical weapons, but destroys his enemies with the flame of his mouth, symbolizing divine power. The peaceful gathering of another multitude follows. These are the lost tribes of Yisrael, regathered from distant lands where they were scattered. That's us, guys. Prophecy includes all of us, those of us in our captivities, those of us who didn't vote for the orange man, those of us who don't vote. Free men don't vote. There's a lot of people that come on this channel and they're like yelling at me because I rebuke the orange man all the time. I always tell you guys that this guy is a corrupt Satanist, a devil, a demon, chanting a satanic slogan that says mega. This is not our king. This is not our leader. This is not somebody we elected. This is who the man has selected. This is an actor, a crisis actor that has done so much damage in his first term in terms of killing off the world's population. This guy, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, is a devil and a demon. The vision concludes the promise that the Most High will defend his people and bring judgment on the wicked. And so with that, we are going to get into our reading here. And this is Yah Scriptures. What you're looking at right before your eyes is the most amazing, one of the most amazing things that we have ever done with Yah Scriptures. Inside of this is your Google app, and this is exactly what the Android app will look like. You can type in Yah Scriptures, 2 words, inside the Google Play Store, and you guys can download this right now. It is a very, very, very popular download. And so here we are into this, and so let us get into this, and let's make sure that this is where it is. Yep, 14. Okay, 14:1. And it came to be on the 3rd day, I sat under a terebinth, and see a voice came out of a bush opposite me and said, Ezra, Ezra. And I said, here I am, Adonai. And I stood up on my feet. Then he said to me, I clearly revealed myself to Moshe in the bush, and talked with him when my people were slaves in Mitzrayim. And I sent him and led my people out of Mitzrayim and brought him up to the mount of where I held him with me many days, and told him great wonders and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, these words you shall declare, and these you shall hide. And now I say to you, lay up in your heart the signs that I have shown, and the dreams that you have seen, and the interpretations which you have heard. For you shall be taken away from all, and from now on you shall remain with my Ben, my son, and with those who are like you, until the times are ended. For the world has lost its youth, and the times begin to grow old. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it have gone already, and half of a 10th part. And there remains that which is after the half of the 10th part. Now therefore, put your house in order, and reprove your people. Comfort those which are in distress, and now renounce that which is corrupt. Let go of your mortal thoughts. Throw away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, and lay aside the thoughts that are most grievous to you, and hasten to flee from these times. For even greater evils than those which you have seen shall come to be after this. For see how much the world weakens through age. Therefore evil increases much more upon those who dwell in it. Guys, we are in a very, very weak age. When you look at the prophecy of Daniel, and you look at the idol, the giant idol of Nebuchadnezzar, when it is the feet are mixed clay and iron. We live in a world right now where the DNA has been completely corrupted in many, many, many parts. And I can't say anything on these platforms. But with those that can see and ears that you can hear, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And the book of Daniel talks about that this last generation is going to be weaker than the rest. So if you have iron and clay, and we know that we were built out of dust, so essentially we are the clay, and now we are intermingled with iron. We have things inside of our bodies that should never ever be inside of them. The world complicit putting them inside of us. And you have all of these people out there with heart attacks at 8 years old. Everybody with palsies, everybody with the shakes, everybody with massive blood clots, right? What do we do? How do we account for this? Other than we are in the last generation, that we are in the end times. And so as we see people dying younger and younger and younger, no longer are the people dying at 90. 80s, 70s. You have people blowing their tickers at 40s. You have things that we have never, ever seen prior to the days that we are in right now. And a lot of this, for those that don't have understanding, this doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm talking to those who do have understanding, those who are able to see and understand what I am saying. And so we are at the weakest point of our lives ever. We live in a world where they're dumping things on our heads all day long. They polluted our water system. They polluted our food. They polluted everything around us. It is a challenge to ever just find food that hasn't been poisoned with some sort of aluminums, all sorts of GMO stuff. Yet it seems okay, right? Then you have this little guy that comes out, RFK Jr., years later, decades later, after all of us that were screaming, yellow 5, yellow 6, red 4, red 40, blue 1, all killing you. Every bite of Skittles that you have kills you and makes you dumber. Every bag of M&Ms that you eat, that you consume, makes you stupider. That's by design. That is actual scientific proof that that's what this does. We've been screaming that for decades. I mean, it's been a long time. And you know what? They're finally coming out with it, but they're coming out with it when a time is the damage is done. We've already heard and we've already seen the damages of all of the poisons in our systems. So here we are, with turbo cancers you get diagnosed with, and 3 weeks later you're dead, and nobody can figure it out. Nobody figures it out. We're all weak, guys. We are very, very, very weak in this world that we are in right now. Continuing on. For truth is fled far away, and falsehood is close at hand. For the vision which you've seen has now hastens to come. I don't know if I did 17. Yeah, I did 17. That's where we got off on that. 19. Then I answered and said, See, Adonai, I shall go as you have commanded me, and reprove the people who are present. But those who are born after, who shall admonish them? Thus the world lays in darkness, and those who dwell in it are without light. For your law has been burned. Therefore no one knows that which is done by you, or the work that shall be done. Guys, look at how many 300,000 different religions, and you have 50,000 different religions of so-called Christianity, and they have burned the laws of our Creator. They don't care what the laws are. They don't know what they are. All they say is Paul said, Paul this, Paul that. Here we go. That somehow this tickle my ear doctrine is the doctrine that they want. They don't want right ruling. They don't want good precepts. They don't want the knowledge that has been given to us by our Creator. They burn it. So if it's been burned, how do we unburn it? Guys, we read our scriptures. This is why I encourage all of you guys to read your Torah over and over and over. Get it onto your hearts, minds, and souls. When we go over our Yahoo in the Torah on the Shabbat, on our main Yahoo in the Torah YouTube channel, we always read the Torah. We read it so that all of you guys out there can memorize it. So that all of you guys are hearing it, learning it, putting it into your lives. Guys, it is the greatest defense that you will ever have. When you learn what food is and what it isn't, many, many parasites will not invade your body. Many, many, many sicknesses will not be there. Guys, do you realize what happens when you have bacon? There is a carcinogen inside of in of itself, bacon is very dangerous. But then when you fry that up in that little black stuff, the stuff that tastes real good and you're crunching it up, it's all carcinogen. It will give you cancers. It will give you sicknesses. It will give you parasites. And that is what our Creator says, my children, please don't eat that. That's not food. And He gives us books like Leviticus, chapter 11. And He tells us what food is. But then you have these doctrines of demons that go, oh, well, Peter had a dream. And it said, slay and eat all the unclean food. When even Peter himself says, I am not going to eat unclean food. I've never, since my birth, eaten unclean food. Then you read a little bit further, and there's a knock on the door. And there's a bunch of Gentiles at the door that are begging him to come see a Gentile guy. And all of a sudden, Peter goes, oh, this wasn't about unclean food. It was about the people that we labeled in Judaism as unclean. That we can go and preach to them, that we can teach them the Torah, that the Gentiles are able to be saved. And that's the doctrine of Judaism. That's more doctrines of devils that tell people that, oh, the goys are lesser than dogs. We can't touch you. We can't be part of you. We can't do any of this. And we are told not to put ourselves in with the Gentiles. We are not to associate with the people of this world. But we can absolutely minister to them. We can absolutely teach them the ways of the kingdom. And all of us were Gentiles at one point. All of us were these ragged, nasty, pig-eating Gentiles that came out. And so there is an ability to be grafted into the people of Yisrael. And the people of Yisrael aren't Jews. There's 12 tribes, right? You will be grafted into a tribe if we're lucky. If our Creator accepts us, if our Messiah accepts us, then we will be grafted in. And that is astounding. Continue on, 22. But if I have found favor, I think I'm on the first one. But if I have found favor before you, send the Ruach HaKodesh into me, and I shall write all that has been done in the world since the beginning, which was written in your law, that men may find your way, and that those who live in the latter days may live. Guys, he wrote this for us. This is Ezra looking out for us. This is Grandpa Ezra that is begging our Creator to allow him and get the Ruach HaKodesh, this Holy Spirit, as some call it, right? That if you are hearing these words today, if you have read this book, if you have understanding, it is because of people like Ezra that has allowed these texts to continue on. This is amazing stuff, guys. This is the power of the Most High that has allowed all of this to happen. 23. And he answered me, saying, go your way, gather the people together, and say to them, not to seek you for 40 days, but see, prepare for yourself many writing tablets, and take with you Seriah, Daviah, Shimliah, Ethan, and Aziel, these 5 who are able to write swiftly, and come here. And I shall light a lamp of understanding in your heart, which shall not be put out, till that which you shall begin to write is complete. And when you are done, you shall publish some, and some you shall so show secretly to the wise. Tomorrow at this hour you shall begin to write. Then I went out, as he commanded, and gathered all the people together, and said, hear these words, O Yisrael. At the beginning our fathers were sojourners in Mitzrayim, from where they were delivered, and received the law of life, Kai, which they did not guard, which you have also transgressed after them. This is the same laws that all of us as Gentile pagans walk around in that we didn't know. We thought the laws were nailed to the cross. We thought the laws had no value. We thought they were for God's chosen people, which have branded themselves as the Jews, right? We aren't part of these people, and the Jews don't even keep the laws of our Creator. They keep all of these other books, these satanic doctrines of demons. We need to be better than this, guys. We need to be those who are seeking our Creator because we've received the laws. If you have the ability to still read, and if you have the ability to even hear, you can still hear or listen to these laws of our Creator. 31. Then the land, even the land of Zion, was divided among you by lot. But your fathers and you have done unrighteousness, and have not guarded the ways which the Most High commanded you. And because he is a righteous judge, in due time he took from you that which he had given you, and now you are here, and your brothers are among you. Therefore, if you humble your own understanding and transform your hearts, you shall be kept alive, and after death you shall obtain kindness. Same words for all of us today, right? If we humble our own understanding, if we transform our hearts, if we circumcise our hearts, if we put understanding and good instructions into our lives, then we hope that after death we can obtain kindness, because that is the only hope of eternity, right? The other side of eternity is that we don't have kindness. And our Messiah says, depart from me, you who are Torahless, you who work iniquity. For after death a judgment shall come, when we shall live again, and then the names of the righteous shall be revealed, and the works of the wicked shall be declared. Therefore let no man come to me now, nor seek me for 40 days. So I took the 5 men, as he commanded me, and we went into the field and remained there. And the next day, see, a voice called to me, saying, Ezra, open your mouth and drink what I give you to drink. Then I opened my mouth, and see, he brought me a cup which was full of water, but the color of it was like fire. And I took it and drank, and when I had drunk from it, my heart spoke with understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast, for the remembrance in my spirit was strengthened, and my mouth was open and no longer closed. And the Most High gave understanding to the 5 men, and they wrote the extraordinary night visions that were related, which they did not know. And they sat 40 days and wrote in the day and ate their bread at night. As for me, I spoke during the day and did not keep silent by night. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. And it came to be when the 40 days were complete that the Most High spoke, saying, the first that you have written, publish openly, that the worthy and unworthy may read it. But guard the last 70, that you may deliver them only to those who are wise among the people. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the river of knowledge. And I did so. Guys, this is incredible. This is incredible times that we have this ability to read these books, that our Creator has given us the understanding to understand that the path of unrighteousness is putting the laws on the cross. If we don't have the laws, we don't have a Messiah. You cannot have a Messiah if you are not Torah observant. That is the gig. That is the lessons of Scriptures. From the beginning of the book all the way to the end, through all of the Apocrypha, the lesson is that we need to be obedient children. We need to be those who listen to the words of our Creator. That we need to write them on our heart, mind, and soul. That we cannot make any choices in life without knowing that our Creator has given us instructions that we need to keep right now. We are being tested. Every single day is a test. Our entire journey from the exit of the womb is a journey. It is a testing period. We are either going to fail this or we're going to succeed. We're either going to get an F or we're going to get an A. There's no middle ground. The ways of destruction are to the left and to the right. The path of the righteous is a narrow path. It's a gate with a wide path that leads to destruction. And those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, the greatest thing that we have in our lives is the Torah and our Messiah. That is hope. That is hope in the future. That is hope in the world that we are looking at, because the world right now is despair. It's despicable. It's corrupt. It's satanic. It's Luciferian. It is gross. And I cannot wait to high five all of you guys, my family who are out there in the end, to give you guys big hugs and to congratulate all of us on being part of the kingdom people. Guys, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope your week goes very, very well. Until we meet again, shalom and love.